through human eyes. I was wondering if you could talk about why you're always centering those stories through the experience of people and not being on an alien world and trying to imagine that experience.
You know, I never really, I could relate to, and one of the first movies I saw, it wasn't original, it came out in 1950, I think I saw it when it was re-released on a weekend. We used to have a theater that had Saturday matinees, and they were all older films, maybe only 5, 6 years older. But I remember when I saw a movie called Destination Moon. I think it was the first film that George Powell, you know, got his career off to a start. And it was a terrestrial film about, you know, humankind's first trip to the moon. Not the Malay film back in the turn of the century, but it was the first, it was in color. And I went to see it in the theater. And it grounded me because it was as realistic as science, or at least Hollywood consulting with scientists, knew how to tell that kind of a story. And it was full of suspense. I'll never forget the scene where they couldn't, the big fear is to get to the moon. How do you get back to Earth? If you spend too much fuel landing on the moon, what do? You know, you got to strip everything out of the spaceship. You got to get rid of everything that's heavy in order. So it was the first time I had ever felt something called suspense. I never felt that before. And so in a sense, that movie was a big influence on me. It was the first, you know, I used to collect soundtrack albums when I was a kid. I still do. But it was the first soundtrack album I ever got. I asked my dad and mom to buy it for me by Laith Stevens. And it's a real piece of symphonic classical music, unusual in those days for a score.